Hey everyone, welcome back to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. I've got Hamish and Catherine from Godthrymm on this episode. We had a great chat about their album Projections, which is out right now. But before we get into the chat, I'd like to play a track by an upcoming album, Relics of Great Ash. This is by Dead 2 Mac, ABYSSAL Rift. They're all the way from the US. Pretty killer stuff. Here's the track, Sphere of Perpetuity. And that was Fear of Perpetuity by Abysmal Rift of their upcoming album Relics of Great Ash. As always, link into the show notes. Do support these bands. And now on to my chat with Hamish and Catherine from Godthrymm. Hi, Hamish. Hi, Catherine. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Peter.
Thank you so much for having us.
So, it's great to have both of you on here. And we're still talking like a month ahead or less than a month ahead of your upcoming album, which is Projections. How does it feel?
I think it's 2 weeks today, isn't it? Is it 2 weeks today?
Yeah, the album's out 29th of May, and it's such a kind of strange feeling now that it's upon us, and only just today we've actually received our own physical copies of the album. So now seeing it with the artwork, all the photos, the liner notes and everything, it's just like amazing to see. We've put so much work and effort into this album over the course of the last year because it really, was a long process, and so much went into this album, from the initial conception, the writing, the recording, revisions, and trying to make it the absolute best that it can be. We just put so much in and had so many amazing people helping in so many ways with the album, be it recording, production, the mastering, the artwork, the performances, everything. It's just been amazing. So now at this point, when the album's just about to come out, it's a little daunting, really. It's a strange combination of both kind of excitement and also some nerves about what people may think to it and how they may react to the album. So it's going to be very interesting to check out people's reactions for sure.
I think, well, I don't think there's much I can add to that. That was a very comprehensive answer. I think, I think it's another thing because you work on something for so long, and like Hamish said, it's almost it was like over a year, in terms of the writing process, and then once that comes to an end, it's not that you forget about it, but the hard bits sort of done, and then this next bit, it's a strange feeling really, because now you're sort of releasing it out into the world, and you're just hoping that people love it as much as we do.
So it's interesting that you say all of this, right? Because one of the things that kind of struck out for me for the album was when it was actually described as the most aggressive Godthrymm album. So if you have to go back to like the early days of putting together and writing the album, what was like the intention, and was it to be aggressive, or was that evolved as a process?
Aggression was kind of part of it. We just felt more confident as a band that we could display more aspects of our, kind of influences and our, creativity. And that we knew there were more avenues we wanted to explore. And some of that was more aggressive and, some faster elements. And it's, all music that we love and are passionate about. But at the same time, we also wanted to ensure that the core of the band remained intact. And so we wanted, the slower, more mournful elements to be in there. We wanted to push the melodic aspect even further, as well as bringing in more of a chromatic style of heavy riffing and fastness too. So we knew we wanted to make a very diverse album. That was true. And we just didn't want to have, any self-imposed limits or barriers of what we could do.
Yeah. Because I don't think of it as being particularly aggressive, other than it's not even that it's a continuation of the previous album. Like Hamish says, it is a lot more varied. Certainly for people who are fans of the band and fans of the doom scene in general, there's a lot in there, but there is a lot more variation. Certainly in terms of my contributions, I contribute a lot more. There are the ethereal elements, the softer vocals, lots of vocal harmonies. But then there's other songs where I definitely push myself a lot more. And it's probably more of I don't know, 1970s rock vibe. So there is a lot of variety in there, but we love it and hope everyone else does.
We love and appreciate a very wide range of music. We've got a very wide, disparate amount of kind of influences. And on one hand, that can be from very traditional heavy metal, much more extreme, levels of kind of doom or death metal, and also then, kind of classic rock, traditional heavy metal. And there's, even elements of, the more, slightly, kind of more ethereal or folk tinged kind of influence. And we just want to cover all of it because it's all music that we feel very attached to. It's very personal, and so we just want to channel ourselves through this music. Ultimately, we write and record to kind of satisfy ourselves and our own muse and desire, and it just comes out in a bit of a wider range. There was some degree of trepidation as we got up to the album completion, thinking, "Gosh, is this going to really kind of surprise some people, or maybe have some fans who much more like the kind of caveman doom and darkness that would be found on the first album?" But ultimately, we have to make music that reflects us evolving as writers and performers, and ultimately, as long as we ourselves are absolutely in love with what we do, then we hope other people may appreciate what we do too.
Have you just created a new genre, caveman doom?
Oh no,
Is that a thing?
That's got to be more of a thing.
Is that a thing?
I think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. When you said that, I was thinking of a band also from the UK called Conan. Those guys are
yes.
like proper like caveman doom.
Is that caveman doom? I need to listen to
Oh,
it.
you need, yeah, caveman. I mean, yeah, they are just, it's just heavy, punishing, crushing, and Dan Mullins toured with them as well, actually, and so yeah, a great band, and
That's a new genre for me.
oh,
I have to listen to some.
I just love that phrase. It gets used in certain bands, like kind of werewolves from Australia as well, and caveman death metal, and
Yeah.
and just I just love how it immediately gives this idea of you're getting something that is like blunt force trauma here, and
Yeah.
that's cool, and that's a style of music I love and think is amazing, but I know what we do and what we do comfortably, and I feel is reflective of where we are musically is not necessarily that I love bands that want to do that. I think it's fantastic, and I like maybe a bit of their kind of influence, because there's something incredibly satisfying about loud amplifiers, huge drums, and just pounding intensity. But we've got a lot of light and shade in our music, which is probably a bit different. But sometimes you just want whoa, whoa, whoa metal.
That's a new genre.
Now that's probably a new description for it. Like when I'm listening to like In the Company of Serpents, and they're particularly the early stuff. That's just like whoa, It's,
But I mean, like that's one of the things. Like I feel with your music, right? And considering I've followed your kind of discography, just kind of seen at least the last couple of albums you've done with Godthrymm, this was kind of different. Uh, Again, going back, right? Like at which point did you all kind of realize it? Was it the addition of the new members? Uh, where did it kind of all kind of come together saying, hey, this is what Gotham will sound in, I don't know, 2025, 2026? Was there a discussion, or it was just an evolution of everyone coming together?
Both really, because there was discussion insofar as soon as Distortions was nearing its completion, that album had been written, at a time when there wasn't much collaboration. It was difficult to do so. We couldn't be in a rehearsal room together jamming out ideas, so it was mostly written separately from each other, I would be presenting really quite completed musical songs to the rest of the band.
COVID times,
During COVID times, and so it was a bit more, singular, in terms of music, and it had a bit of addition lyrically and vocally on that album, but we knew at that point in time, as soon as the album was done, we knew that whilst that album was very much a reflection of where we were at that time, the next album, Projections, and we had the album title before any completed songs, and Projections as a term and a phrase was wanting to project and look forward, and then just see how we could move things forward, and look at Godthrymm looking towards the future. And then with the growing confidence of Catherine as a performer and a writer and contributor, then there was wanted much more input that way. And Bob with lyrics and his wonderful melodic bass lines, and actually having Sean, the drummer as well, contributing in terms of being able to jam out riffs and ideas together and bounce ideas off each other, and try different arrangements. Chris coming in is someone that he's a bolt of energy as well. So that became very natural as well, that everyone's contribution was much more reflected in the album too. So it was certainly part planned, invited, certainly, but then the contribution of the others was certainly something that was very, very welcomed, and then inspired the ongoing development of the album.
Do you want to add something, Catherine? What was it like from your perspective?
Well, again, your answers are so well rounded. You don't leave much for me to say, do you, Hamish?
I'm terrible. So you answer the next one first, okay?
Something about amps, and I don't know anything about those. And pedals. Intentional, yes, in terms of it being different to distortions. Like Hamish said, my confidence has grown massively. Unlike Hamish and Bob and Sean and Chris, I've not been in bands since I was 15, although I was in one band when I was about 15, but we weren't very good. But I haven't been doing this for years. So, on Reflections, I was just doing some additional vocals, wasn't a member of the band. By the time Distortions happened, I was a full member of the band, plus played keys, but still not probably the most confident, certainly not in my songwriting or ability to write vocal melodies, which I was doing, but they're probably, I don't know if safe is the right word, but they've just got a bit more experimental as time has gone on. And I think it's very much reflected in the new album, because there's quite some vocal melodies that are, massively nothing on the previous two albums. Certainly the rest of the band were surprised when I presented them to them, and sort of made some of the songs go in a different direction, probably like Jewels as an example.
Absolutely.
Have you heard the whole the whole album, Peter? So like Jewels in particular, and yeah, do you know what I mean? And it's like, because in terms of the writing process, Hamish has usually got an idea of which voice he think would be best on a song. Sometimes that doesn't work, and we might switch it around, or decide different bits of a song are better for Hamish or better for me. I think you said pretty early on this song you wanted to be me, and you've got the gentle, beautiful guitar opening of Jewels, and then it goes into that funky rock beat. I don't know how else to describe it, like funky rock beat. I think it's funky, and you think it's funky.
It's got some movement to it. It's
and so you've got almost that, like I always equate it to, I'm almost doing like a Beth Gibbon from Portishead sort of type of voice, that really soft, almost crying, that really emotional, and then it goes into the chorus bits, and then almost like Lulu from the 1960s Scottish pop singer.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, I thought I wanted to challenge myself as well and not feel restricted, as in, well, I'm the additional vocalist and I just do ethereal vocals. I really wanted to do something a bit different.
And actually, this one's for you then, Catherine, because you kind of mentioned this earlier with Hamish knowing like which kind of vocals who's going to do on which song. Uh, on this album, you'll actually have guest vocals from different artists also, right? And one of them actually is a former bandmate of Hamish itself. So how did y'all kind of figure out who's going to be on which song? And again, considering just being part of the UK scene, I'm sure to touring, playing in bands, all of that, having access. So how did y'all kind of shortlist at least whoever was on the guest vocals?
I will answer that, but you will probably have more of an input. So certainly, so we're all talking about Aaron Stainthorpe. I'm assuming you're talking about Aaron Stainthorpe. So I think certainly when writing that song, Endure My Skin, I'm assuming you all, when you wrote it, did you have Aaron in mind at that point, or did that come later?
That song, when it was first written, I kind of liked the idea of trying to do a song where the vocals were much more of a harsh death metal style vocal, and most of the melody was carried by the music of the song itself. And I did early demos of that song where I tried to do that style of vocal, and then we realized the song demanded a bit more than that, so we tried a few different vocal styles on there, and
Didn't all work.
and then we found something that kind of really did with the both of us working together. But when it came to a section in the middle, there was a point that was like, yeah, death metal vocals here would be amazing.
And I can't do death metal vocals, Peter.
It's not really a thing.
It's not my thing.
So, but I did, however, know
someone who can.
Know a guy who can do that very, very well. And so it asked Aaron, if it was up for coming and doing another guest spot with us. He did a spoken word piece on the last album, but this was more of a vocal spotlight contribution. And he came round, he recorded his death metal vocals, and even then kind of extended that section a bit more than what the original part was. And then as soon as that was done and it sounded amazing, as we knew it would, he then said he'd be happy to come and do some more if we wanted. And that immediately made me just think, gosh, yeah, a bit more would be cool. And then no sooner than he'd gone, I was on to him the very next day saying, actually, a section before the death metal vocals would be really cool with your style of clean vocals on this bit. And he thought that sounded really, exciting and fun to do. So he came around and did that, and it sounded so good. He then thought, right, well, it needs to come back after the death metal vocals. So he was keen to do even more. So it became a much more of a featured piece. And of course, his involvement is, we worked together for so long, and been such close friends for so long. It was just wonderful to be able to be hanging out together, doing something creative together, and enjoying that together.
There might have been a couple of beers.
There may have been a couple of beers involved. That's very possible. But I'll let you talk about the others.
Jay and AD. So Trenches, we've got Jay Walsh from Zentrix, and we've got AD Bailey from the English Dogs. So we start with Jay. So Jay's a personal friend of ours. We're friends with his whole family. We go on holiday together. So I suppose you could call it a bit of Godthrymm and Friends. He's got the most amazing thrash voice, and wanted to see what he could bring to the end section of Trenches where it goes a bit crazy. So yes, Jay was an obvious choice. He's one of our closest friends, and he was delighted to do it. And it's just really wonderful to have him on board and on the album, because he is such a close friend of ours.
Yeah, such a fantastic performance.
So good.
Wow.
And something I would never, before he recorded his part of it, I would never imagine that. I could never have written anything like that myself. You couldn't, but he's got
No.
that thrash sort of ear, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't absolutely wonderful.
So that's another instance where we had at first a specific idea of what we wanted him to do, but then he just
Something
decided to do a bit more as well, because he wanted to just contribute more, and then he sent it through and he was like, oh, yeah, I hope you like it, but don't be offended. I won't be offended if you don't want to use it. And of course, played it, was like, wow, that's amazing. That's just absolutely brilliant. So what a contribution.
And then Adi Bailey from the English Dogs lives about 8 minutes walk away from our house, and there's a pub in the middle in between our houses. So very occasionally we'll bump into Adi, and we were in there with our family, and Adi was in there, and I think the conversation went something like, Adi, do you fancy doing some vocals on our new album? And Adi said, yes, that would be marvellous. And and then Adi came round to our house and to our studio and recorded his vocals at the end of Trenches, and again just brings something else to it again. It's just phenomenal, and
it brings extra character and some degree of authenticity when we're going off on a bit of a thrash metal tangent. Having a couple of monsters like that is just wonderful. But AD again, its background of friendship upon years. So it was less of trying to think of, oh, we've got a section where we want a certain kind of voice, who could we get to do it? It was much more, we've got our friends. It was just immediate.
Our friend lives in walking distance.
Yeah.
See, okay. England is that small. You literally live 5 minutes walk next to other metal legends.
I mean, that's what I've heard about Birmingham.
Well, Birmingham, absolutely.
That's not walking distance.
It's not walking distance, but not long to get there. But once you're in Birmingham, you're just tripping up. You just go to Scruffy Murphy's, and then it's like, oh, benediction. Oh, yeah, cool. Oh, you're sacrilege. Really? It's just, it's
like that in Halifax on a Saturday night.
That's true, actually. I mean, that was the thing. Growing up, with the Paradise Lost guys, just Tuds, the original Paradise Lost drummer, lived over the road from me, and he was at the same school as me, and so he was a little bit older and was a big influence in terms of tell me kind of what comics I should read and what music to check out. And so I knew him at the point in time when they were first starting off as a demo band, and then knowing the rest of them. And I was always the young guy who was wanting to catch up and be part of the scene, and it's just funny now, and them being just next to Bradford, which is such a huge hot spot of music. I mean, the bands that have come out from there, it's incredible. It's Bradford, Leeds, Halifax. It's such a small geographical area, but what a hotbed of incredible music that's come out of there. The scene, now even still continues on. There's less places to play than what there used to be. When I think back how lucky we were to
at that time in the 90s,
spend that time of the 90s, but because it was just normal for us, we just thought that's just how it is. And you could go to 3 nightclubs in the night in the space of a town and a city, and then now as time's gone on, it's
all gone.
There's less places, but the musicians remain and the scene's still there, and that's just really, really cool.
Okay, so
a lot more stuff's online and media based now, of course.
So at this point we've talked quite a bit about projections. You'll have a couple of singles out, and for those who haven't already heard them, which one would you recommend they check out, and why?
Oh,
and I know it's 2 of you, so maybe we can take another pick later on in the chat. So
cool. I would say if someone's into pounding, fist pumping, head banging, heavy metal with heavy riffs and guitar solos, double bass drums, check out Truth in My Own with a great video from the very talented Ash Pearce, who's done videos with Paradise Lost and Val and Fire amongst others. And if, however, someone is more into slower, doomier, melodic stuff with, again, still lots of riffs, lots of music, but a lot more, in terms of, epic grandeur, then The Sun Never Fell is the one. So it kind of depends on where someone's listening tastes may fall. And then once we hook you with one, then check out the other.
I can't. Oh God, that's really hard. Probably Truth. I'd start with, mainly because it's got a really cool video to go with it. Although I'm hardly in it, so maybe Sun.
Hey, you say you're hardly in it, but it's a big bit. It's a
Okay,
big bit.
fair. So we'll start with Truth, and then we'll kind of pick up on the other one later on. So here's Truth in My Own.
Glorying at my mind's eye,
And that was Truth in My Own of Godthrymm's album Projections. Now back to my chat with Hamish and Catherine. Okay, so one thing I definitely want to ask you about, and considering you all have the physical copies of the album now, is the artwork. That's something that kind of stood out for me. And again, sometimes I understand, you want to leave it up to interpretation and stuff like that. But what would you like to kind of share about the artwork, which would probably encourage people to actually get a physical copy?
It's an incredible piece of art by an incredibly talented artist called Mitchell Nolte, and it was recommended by he was recommended by Chris Bruni at Profound Law Records, and created this, truly amazing, really, incredible piece of artwork that is just phenomenal to look at. It's just, its depth and intensity and the excellence of execution is just absolutely phenomenal. When Chris recommended him, I had a look at his work, and it reminded me much more of very classical artwork, like you'd get from, the Dutch masters, something, you might see up in the Rijksmuseum or somewhere like that. It's just absolutely the kind of artwork that really appeals to me. And then gave him some ideas that kind of tied in with the album title, and gave him, a couple of different ideas of what we could see, with projections being like a someone with some connection to other worlds and other realms, and then is able to kind of project that around them, or a link to these other dimensions. And so the artwork that we went with was then with a seer and a crystal ball, who then is able to kind of project all this, other world of, fantastical kind of beasts and, other worldly beings around them. Another idea was then a woman looking out of a bedroom window and seeing, waking from like a nightmare, but then the nightmare's projected upon the sky, and then the sky is turning into some, tumultuous, kind of, storm of, beasts and demons, and gave Mitchell all these ideas, and he came back with painted rough sketches, and then a couple of pencil sketches too, of different ideas that, quite frankly, any of which could have been an album cover. They were all amazing, and then just needed us to pick one that he was then going to do to the full level of detail, to his full craft. Showed them to the band,
and we had a vote.
They had a vote
because we're very democratic.
Very democratic.
Most of the time.
Yeah, we're slightly democratic.
Slightly democratic.
We
We're
are
all equal, but
visibly
some are more equal
democratic
than others.
So I will ask everyone their opinion,
And then
before I decide what's best. And but in this instance, I really could have gone with one of the two aforementioned ideas, but everyone loved the the seer and the piece that was done. Mitchell called the final piece, I think it's Miasma Sturmendrang is the actual name of the
I didn't know
artwork.
that.
Oh, did you know? Oh, yeah.
What's
It's
it
got a
mean?
proper name.
What does it mean?
Well, Miasma Sturmendrang is Sturmendrang isn't it like storm and decimation, something like that?
No, sounds cool.
Anyway, yeah. But what he came back was just stunning, and absolutely in the traditions of the old albums that I used to love and see, where artwork was such a big thing. I mean, you think of some incredible painted artworks in the past, like Nights at Eclipse, or all the Derek Riggs Iron Maiden work, and all these the Morbid Angel artwork, and so many Nocturnus, and all these amazing painted artworks that God, there are so many. And I'm all the way through. While I'm saying all these, I'm thinking of vinyl albums, and love complete albums, and then having something where you appreciate the artwork as a whole reflection of kind of what's in.
But every time you look at it, you see something different or that you hadn't noticed, or someone else sees it and sees something else that you haven't noticed. So I think in terms of going back to your question about, why should people buy the physical copy? Because if someone's like absolutely bored shitless, it would give them something to do for a couple of hours, trying to find new things that they hadn't previously noticed. So that's a reason to buy a physical copy, preferably the vinyl, because bigger.
It just harks back to certainly what I would when I would buy an album in the past and get like
I think
seven
that Rainbow
songs.
Rising.
Oh yeah,
Rainbow Rising, the album.
Buy an album, and it was such an investment at that point, because you couldn't get everything. You couldn't get every album, so artwork could really appeal. And then as you're playing the album, you're reading through the lyrics and looking at the artwork, and we really wanted to kind of capture that excitement, because I really do believe that there's such a place for albums in this day and age where there's a lot of streaming and single songs and stuff. So
it's interesting that you say this, right? Like, especially in terms of like music. And when you look at just like the track lengths on projections, it's clearly not meant for, I don't know, TikTok or Instagram reels or stuff like that, right? But it's so funny, and I have to add this story before you guys go on. So my son is not like a huge, like, say, metal fan, but there are two things that have kind of caught his attention over the last couple of years, which has kind of got him on this side. One is one day while dropping him off to school, I overheard him humming this kind of like hymn kind of song. And I looked at him and I was like, wait, are you singing Mary on a Cross? And he's like, yeah, how do you know that song? I was like, of course I know Ghost. And that song became popular because of TikTok.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
now he knows all the lyrics to Master of Puppets thanks to Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
So, who knows how people kind of discover. But going back, like, and I always kind of ask musicians this question, right? Because while, the creative arts is something you do, say, possibly just for self-expression, but then there's also that thing of, hey, how is someone kind of going to discover this or come across this music? Does that ever come across, or does it not bother you at all?
Well, I mean, I know how I got into music, which was very much from record collections of my parents,
Same.
thankfully. So and I believe very similar with you, but maybe more so from your uncle as
well, yeah. So, but back then there wasn't really. Well, there wasn't a TikTok, obviously. So my mum was a massive Rolling Stones and Bob Dylan fan. My mum grabbed hold of Mick Jagger's leg when she was 16, when she went to watch them in Wigan. My dad was very much Floyd and more classic rock. My uncle was more punk, but a lot of like really bizarre stuff. Tom Waits as well, but there wasn't an alternative. But again, like the magic, I know we were talking about vinyl before, but just, we used to have the massive bloody record players then, and just being a kid and just playing vinyl after vinyl after vinyl, because the excitement and just reading the cover and the photographs and the pictures on them. So there wasn't really much. There wasn't an option. There wasn't an alternative. Now there is. We bought our daughter a vinyl player. She's only 9, but we bought her a vinyl player for Christmas last year. So she's got a right old collection now. It's predominantly Metallica, Black Sabbath, and Billie Eilish. But it's a start. But the whole, I'm old, 49. I don't understand Insta. I don't understand TikTok. But I know it's a good way of getting your music out there. Chris and Bob are a bit more,
Yeah, they're a
even
bit
though they're
more.
really old as well, but they're a bit more down with the kids. Bob and Chris are a bit more down with the kids when it comes to technology.
You know, it's incredible now because, you know, it's such a blessing and also a bit of a curse as well that, you know, so much is available, you know, for streaming and available, you know, immediately, which means it's so much easier to check out bands and, you know, new music than ever before. But, you know, that's amazing. But it also comes at a cost of that, you know, music's a lot more transient for many people. It's, you know, more kind of fleeting. I mean, I remember even back in, like, you know, the 90s when CD players started having shuffle function for, you know, listening to a CD out of order. And then if it was a multi-CD player, then hearing songs just from different albums out of order. And it was a novelty at first, but then it you know, kind of disrupted the flow of what in the past was you'd listen to an album all the way through. And now that's become even more extreme where people are just hearing individual songs. And that's why, I mean, however, in the metal genre, I think people have this kind of, you know, passion and love and appreciation still for full albums at a time. And that's, you know, something we're just still very much, you know, wanting to, you know, campaign the love and appreciation for. We put a lot of time and effort into the running order of our album, for instance. You know, we really considered what order we thought worked best for the songs to kind of flow in. And, you know, of course, people can, you know, consume, you know, art, music in whatever way, you know, suits them and their lives. But really, I remember Frank Zappa when he
My hero.
released the album. Is it an EP or an album? It's a mini album. But
Which one?
Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch.
No, it's an album.
And yeah, it's a short album, but yeah, it's an album. And but in the notes of it, you know, he did say in it as well that, you know, please, you know, when listening to this album, set your EQ controls to, you know, 0 and hear it the way we wanted to do it before you start tweaking anything. And I always remember that. That was, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, you spent a lot of time wanting to
be heard a certain way.
Be heard a certain way. But then, of course, you know, as soon as you make something kind of, you know, public out there, then people incorporate it into their lives and people can, you know, have their own interpretations of songs, song meanings, and song lyrics, and you know, they you know, consume, enjoy, and you know, have music as part of their lives in different ways, and I totally get that. But you know, I still think there's a place for, you know, trying to maintain that kind of artistic integrity of what you wanted to create in the first instance. But, you know, it changes. It's about, you know, it's an evolving world in many ways. But it does make me very pleased when, like, you know, our 9-year-old daughter, for instance, she's, you know, getting into vinyl because then it's a tangible physical thing with the artwork and then getting the enjoyment of that. And then makes me even happier then when she wants to get Unchained by Thor. You know, that's, which is a great album, by the way. You know, it's like, wow. You know, she's got some, you know, interesting mix of tastes.
I think that it depends. It depends where you're listening to music as well. Because if I was, you know, at home or listening to music while I'm cooking, I want to listen to an album. If I'm in the car, I want random.
Actually, I like the whole album.
Because I like the surprise of what's coming next. You know, like just a different vibe to just sing along to or listen to. But at home, I want it to be an album, or certainly if I'm in the mood, right, I just want to listen to Dark Side or whatever. So it depends where you are. But the whole TikTok thing, I don't understand it. I know other people do, but
yeah. But there's so many ways that people can be exposed to music, and that's, you know, cool and great. It's you know, it's fab. Yeah, Stranger Things was an introduction for many for Metallica, who very much grew up listening to. Fine, you know, it doesn't matter how folk get into it. I tell you, and that is something that you know, metal is amazingly great in many ways. The whole you know, scene in terms of being inclusive and wanting folks to kind of get into it, but also some factions that sometimes get a bit elitist, and I don't like that as much. Where it's like, oh, what are you listening to that for when you should be listening to this? It's like, doesn't matter, you know. I mean, whatever someone started listening to, fine, they might want to, progress and, go deeper and deeper. You got to be welcoming of that and encouraging, and don't look down your nose at someone because they like something that you think is entry level metal or something. That's just completely against everything that I ever believe in. So,
Well said.
Okay. So clearly, both of you actively listen to a lot of music. If we could get at least a couple, I don't know, more maybe, picks from each of you of what you've been listening to lately. Could be old music, new music, whatever you'd like to share.
Can I go first?
please do.
I will go first, Peter, if that's okay.
Of course.
So even though I'm in a metal band, and this might be controversial, I don't know if I'm not a metaler as such. No. I'm probably a punk at heart. Rock and folk and all sorts of stuff. But at the moment, and probably for the last 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, a band called the Unthanks. And they are a folk band from Northumberland, north east of England. And it's folk music, but it's almost doom folk music. It's thoroughly depressing, beautiful vocal harmonies that make your heart just cry, die at the same time. It's in the main, it's two sisters, Rachel and Becky, and Adrian, and all the band. We've got to know the band a little bit. We've been to see them so many times. They do like singing weekends where you can go and like camp with them and just sing around a campfire and stuff. They are phenomenal. So if anyone likes folk with a doom tinge, the Unthanks, they are amazing. I'm really rubbish at getting into new music, but my favourite bands, and I know I've mentioned them already. I love Tom Waits, love Zappa, love Floyd. My favourite band of all time is probably No Means No, like an American hardcore punk band from the 80s and 90s. That's the loads more. I've got a very wide eclectic music taste, but for any of your viewers, listen to the Unthanks. It's stunningly beautiful, and I get a lot of my vocal harmony influences from them as well, because absolutely wonderful.
Beautiful, wonderful band.
You love them too.
I do very, very much so. And it depends on your definition of what's a new band or an older band. They're
not new.
They're not new, but they're very much a contemporary band. They're releasing new albums that you still stick with all the time. We're in my studio. I don't have to reach very far for a particular album, and that is one of my favorite albums of all time. Once again, is Assault Attack by MSG. And this is one of my most favorite albums ever. And it was one of the first albums I ever owned and fell in love with as a kid, with the most amazing, beautiful guitar work from Michael Schenker. Obviously, what a master, and incredible. But one of the greatest heavy metal vocal performances of all time on an album from Graham Bonnet, who people know more from his work from Rainbow and stuff like that. But I just think his work on that album was absolutely amazing. And I'm very much kind of rekindled my love of this album by seeing him performing most of the album live recently. I've never seen him live beforehand, and he was touring, performing that album, advertising saying performing Assault Attack, nearly in full. There was only like 2 songs he didn't do, and it was amazing. And
you sung louder than he did.
What a show. But what an album.
Wonderful.
Love it. So
I bought him the album with picture disc for Christmas, and he was a very happy Hamish.
Very happy Hamish.
Okay, but before I let you go, right, there's a couple of mandatory questions I have to ask you. Is you guys have album release show coming up 6th of June. we spoke about Aaron Stranthrop. He's joining the band and doing a special appearance.
Yeah.
Talk about the album release show. Any other shows you've got planned after that?
We have the album release show, as you say, 6th of June, Brudenell in Leeds, which is a wonderful venue. We've played a number of times beforehand. We played there before when we did our album launch show for the last album. We did that there. We had a wonderful night with some very close friends in bands supporting us as well. But we've also played there with my dear friends in Pallbearer and Witch Sorrow and Vodun. So it's a wonderful venue, a great, great place. This night's going to be very special because yes, we've got Aaron joining us to do his vocals for Endure My Skin, which is going to make it a very special night and able to do that song the way it should be heard. So it might be a one-off performance. We don't know. I'd got rehearsals going on, and we've done some videos, and he's even said, oh, we never know for the future, so who knows? But it could just be this one-off special performance. In order to make the night even more special as well, and again with the theme, trying to do the songs in the best way they can possibly be represented, we've also got Annabelle from the band Hemlock doing additional harmony vocals with Catherine as well. They're opening the show. They're a symphonic metal band, fairly new band. Their new EP Finality's out now, and if you're into symphonic metal, quite bombastic stuff, then
they're really good.
Check it out. They're really good. It's a great EP. But having her singing with Catherine and
so they have, obviously,
it's just fantastic.
Obviously, there's only one of me, so live I can only think one of my vocal lines. So having a lot of my vocal harmonies are like 3-4 parts, but at least having Annabelle, we can do 2 of them. So that's quite exciting.
It really is.
Of the vocalist.
It just makes it all the more special. And then so we're very much focused on that, the album release, and then looking to see what shows we can do afterwards to try and share this music in the live arena with as many people as possible. So looking forward to that. When does this video? When will your video go live? Actually,
I'm hoping closer to the album release.
Okay, cool. So we also have another video for the song Jewels as well.
Coming out next week.
Awesome.
So in the final editing process of that at the moment, and that's going to be super, very cool. And so because we can't play absolutely everywhere that we want to do, the world of social media and videos becomes all the more important. So we want to try and have that as a way to connect with people as well. So awesome. Look out for the video for Jewels.
Awesome.
Directed by myself.
That's great.
Yeah.
So lots to look forward to in the world of Godthrymm. But final question, as always, for those who've stuck around till the end and are still listening, do you have any final words?
Ooh. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Peter. So that's part of my final words. Really enjoyed the interview. I would encourage any of your viewers to listen to the album, preferably buy it, because it's quite marvellous, if you ever get a chance to come and see us live, we do put on a good show, I think.
Absolutely.
We think. So come and see us live, and just take care, everyone, and I'll hand over to you. You're always more profound than me.
Peter, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about the band and the new album this evening. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to all listening as well. And I'd say to all that, trends come and go, but, always look for, true authenticity and passion in art.
Profound as always. I think that's a great note to end this chat. Thanks so much, guys.
Oh, thank you,
Thank
Peter.
you so much. But absolute pleasure speaking to you.
That was Hamish and Catherine from UK act Godthrymm. As you can tell, I really enjoyed chatting with both of them. Do check out their album Projections if you enjoyed the single Truth in My Own that I played on this episode. As always, hit subscribe or follow on whichever podcast platform you're listening to this episode on. Got a lot more coming in the coming weeks. I'll see you then. Cheers.